Only 2 parts left after this long, arduous series, and we're starting with the one and only Meta Man. We're at the point in the list where I consider all of these characters to be like acceptable mains. It's weird to me that a person can have a main in a LEGO game, but superhero LEGO games in particular, it works. Meta Man here would be a good main despite just having 4 abilities. 3 of his 4 abilities he shares with Crush Hour, those 3 being Bulldoze, Immunity, and Strength. However, instead of the Super Destroy that Crush Hour has, Meta Man has Flight. This is a welcome exchange for me. Super Destroy is rarely used ever in the game, especially since Crush Hour has a very limited role in Incredibles 2 to begin with. Flight is something I'd much rather have because it's useful in so many situations. So yeah, Meta Man is a nice character to play as, just a standard flight character that is immune to enemy attacks. We have officially bumped up a tier starting with this guy, Gamma Jack. Gone are the days of 4 abilities. Characters will have at least 5 abilities each from here on to number 1. Gamma Jack is a radiation-based super, as you can probably tell by the gamma in his name. According to the Operation Chronos database, Gamma Jack has a threat level of 7.9, the second highest. The only super higher than him in terms of threat level is Mr. Incredible, whose rating is 9.1. I think that's stupid. I mean, Gamma Jack can just hit him with a UV ray from a mile away and give Mr. Incredible skin cancer. The only thing Mr. Incredible has is super strength. There are probably a lot more supers that can beat Mr. Incredible in a fight, not just Gamma Jack. Anyway, like I said, Gamma Jack has 5 abilities, all of which we've seen before, but having a lot of abilities is good. Quantity over quality when it comes to this game. The most useless of his abilities is Illuminate. Thought we'd be done with that ability by now, but I'm glad to say it's the last time we'll see a character possess the Illuminate ability. Next, he has the Fire ability, so he can burn campfires and walk through fires and whatnot. He has the Laser ability for golden LEGO pieces, and he can shoot radiation balls with Sharpshoot. And to put the cherry on top, he has Flight. All around a really good character, and one that can totally beat Mr. Incredible in a fight. Get a load of this guy. He looks like a slightly chunkier, rotting Mr. Incredible, and you know what? That's essentially what he is. This dude is a crime wave villain, and his whole thing is that he used to be an anchorman for a local news station and then became a literal anchor man. He wields an anchor for bejeebus sakes, but he has 5 abilities, and I'll be damned if he wasn't a fun character to play as. Not only do you get to massacre enemies with an anchor, but you have a variety of other things at your disposal. First, because of his big boy nature, he has what you would expect, which is Bulldoze and Super Strength. Also seen twice before, Anchorman has Hyper Jump. Finally, his last 2 abilities have to do with his environment of choice. I don't know how, but he can shoot water out of the palms of his hands, and because of that, he has the Extinguish ability. Since he is an overgrown, swole sea urchin, he can zoom around in water with the Dive ability. Overall, a pretty cool character. Everseer is another super of the Golden Age that was killed through Operation Chronos. While he does have some cool powers, I can see how he was killed. Everseer is a super who is mostly mind control based. However, Omnidroids don't have minds to control, so he was probably yoinked out of life in a jiffy. Everseer has 5 abilities, so let's go through them. As I've said, he has mind-related powers, so yeah, he has mind control. He also has Levitate, which is this game's equivalent of the Force. And then there's the murder-inducing version of Levitate, which is Super Destroy. He also has Sharpshoot. And finally, he can fly. There it is, all 5 abilities. Flight, Levitate, Mind Control, Sharpshoot, and Super Destroy. Everseer is basically just a screenslaver on steroids. This is the 3rd member of the Incredibles family we're encountering, and there's only 16 slots left on the list. Really goes to show how essential the Incredibles are in a LEGO Incredibles game. Anywho, here's Violet, and she only has 3 variants in the game, much like Dash, but unlike Dash, she has 5 abilities as opposed to his 3. The first of 3 variants we're covering is the Violet Parr casual variant, where she's only in regular clothing. I like how they gave her bangs that partially cover her face, but she's still not in super mode, you know? I'm going to do the same thing as I did earlier with other characters, with multiple variants, and cover a select amount of abilities per variant. I'm going to cover only one this time, and it's one of her more surprising abilities. Violet has Dive. Yeah, I know. She can use her psionic power to create a bubble around her, and then she can go underwater with it. It's a little risky of Violet to do that since she only has a small amount of oxygen in that tiny bubble, but it's an interesting addition nonetheless. This is the variant included in the Vacation Pack DLC. There's really nothing to say about her appearance here. I think her vacation outfit is the most boring out of the vacation outfits of all the Incredibles. To be fair though, the Vacation Pack DLC is pretty boring anyway. Anyway, let's cover 2 more abilities out of the 5 that Violet possesses. The first is the hacker ability. Yep, Violet is a hacker somehow. Violet having the dive ability was weird, but at least it was justified. I don't see Violet having the hacker ability as justified. The second ability we're covering in this segment is the thing she's known for, invisibility. Basically, Violet can become invisible to the environment, which is needed for several puzzles in the game. In other LEGO games, this ability is usually called stealth, but obviously invisibility is Violet's thing, so that's why it's called invisibility in this game. Of course, as is protocol, the Incredibles suit variant will always reign supreme among the many variants of the Incredibles family. But aside from that, I have 2 more abilities to present that Violet has that I haven't presented yet. The fourth ability Violet has is Sharpshoot. She can shoot purple balls at enemies and objects. Not much to say about that, but that leaves one more ability that Violet has. That ability is, drumroll please, Psionic. That has everything to do with those purple force fields she can create. There are several things to do with the Psionic ability. First, she can build transparent purple pieces. If you see sparkling purple pieces on the ground, Violet can collect them while she's in her purple force field. She can then use those pieces to build a structure of some sort, usually a missing track for Dash to speed through. Speaking of Dash, there's a special something that Dash and Violet can do together with their powers, and it's used quite a lot. Sometimes you can see a machine that requires high speeds. Violet can create a force field ball and Dash can hop into it. Violet's Psionic ability, along with Dash's super speed, makes for a super fast hamster ball, and it can power this machine that requires high speed. Also, Violet's force field ball can traverse across toxic gunk without harm. So yeah, Violet has 5 abilities, but the Psionic ability has several extensions that make her even more useful. From one Incredibles girl to the main Incredible woman herself, Elastigirl. Well, her alter ego, Helen Parr. But this is the boring Helen Parr, the stay-at-home Helen, you know. Like Violet, Helen also has 5 abilities, but there are 5 variants of Helen Parr and Elastigirl, so I'll cover one for each variant. How convenient. So how about we get right into it, huh? What's the awesome first ability that Elastigirl possesses? Really? Agility. I mean, yeah, I'm not surprised Elastigirl can flip on poles and stuff, but I was expecting more of a climactic start to these next 5 segments. Anyway, Elastigirl is used quite a lot in the story levels. I mean, she was pretty much the spotlight of Incredibles 2 instead of Mr. Incredible, so you do play her a lot in the levels for the second film. So again, this is the vacation variant of an Incredible family member on the Vacation DLC pack. I like the design of this vacation variant, mostly because of the flower in her hair. It's a small but nice detail. But of course, Helen Parr variants are naturally just not as good as the Elastigirl ones, even if they do have the same exact abilities. Speaking of abilities, let's discuss the second of 5 abilities that Elastigirl has. This is one of her signature and exclusive abilities, Elastic. You use this ability an obscene amount of times in the story levels. Need to get up to a higher elevation? Use Elastigirl to stretch up there, and you can use her as a means to get up. Need to get across the gap? Elastigirl got you. Need to go into a vent to pull a lever elsewhere? Forget about it. TT Games love plopping this ability literally everywhere. Maybe I should have waited to talk about this one for one of the better variants, but I just couldn't wait. We're done with the Helen Parrs. The last 3 Elastigirl variants are all Elastigirls, not Helens. So there's that. Anyway, this is the Devtech variant of Elastigirl. In other words, the fancy new suit Winston Dever gave her so she can lead the comeback gang. It is a sleek design for sure, but the other 2 variants not yet covered hit closer to home for me. Of course, it's still way better than the Helen Parr variant. Anyway, the special ability we're covering in this segment is the grapple ability. Again, this is not surprising at all, and you use it a lot in the story levels. Elastigirl just uses her elasticity to stretch her arm to faraway lands to grab that notch to pull it. What's really strange is that after the Elastigirl variants, there is no other character with either the grapple or agility ability left in the list. Isn't that so weird? The agility and grapple abilities, those which we have seen countless times, are officially going away after Elastigirl. It's a little bittersweet, but also exciting.